You'll have to excuse the sound. We're having a very, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto moment. It is so windy outside, so much so that it blew over Joey's water table. That's crazy. We're doing another AirPress today because I had such a good time drinking it yesterday when I was unboxing this disappointment. Yeah, we're talking about this today. And, well, yeah, let's just get into it. I changed the way this looks. I'm a ninny, dude. I'm new to the manga game, and so I was very proud of my box sets. I had the 2 box sets behind me, and I thought, man, I'm so cool. I have Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z box sets. And then Chase told me, why don't you take them out? It's the bindings that you want to see. It's like a whole picture. Don't you want to show off that you have the books? And I was like, well, yeah. And he goes, what are you doing? So here we go. The whole collection, minus one, because I'm reading one right now, but it's so cool. And then I have my Dragon Balls just holding it. I love it. Been listening to some Fleetwood Mac. We're all over the place today, but guys, the ASUS ROG Ally. I'm going to kind of put this off to the side for right now because I don't want coffee grinds to get onto it. I spent so much time yesterday trying to get this thing to work the way I wanted it to, and ran into way more problems than I was expecting. First things first, let's talk about the device itself. I like the device better than the Steam Deck as far as the looks. Hear me correctly when I say this. I like the way that the device looks more than the Steam Deck. I don't love the white, but I do like the form factor. I think that it looks cool. But do I like the experience more than the Steam Deck? No. There are a few huge problems that I ran into very quickly. Very quickly. Stuff that I was not expecting to run into. The first is, so, like, I have a Steam Deck. We all know that. I've talked at length about it. But when it comes to my Steam Deck experience, there are very few games I can't play. And by few, I mean like 3. One, I want to play the Kingdom Hearts series, but for some reason, that's only available on the Epic Store. I don't know what that's all about, but that's a thing. 2, I really badly want to play Fortnite at somewhat better performance than the portable version of Fortnite that I can play on the Nintendo Switch. 30 frames per second, severely compromised visuals. And so I was like, well, let's install Fortnite because the Epic Store is something that I can install on this device. I can't install the Epic Store easily on the Steam Deck. I'm sure all things are possible on the Steam Deck. I know that people have even installed Windows on the Steam Deck, but I'm a simple man just trying to make my way through the galaxy. And so I want to have the simplest, most streamlined experience ever. I know that some people are like, well, then why are you getting into PC gaming? It's a different story. I'm trying to learn. And I also have a PC on the way, which is really exciting. But I was like, okay, let's install the Epic Store. And so I did just that. It took very little time, but surprisingly it took longer than I was expecting. Oh, also, if you want to support the channel, these play mugs. I make $4, which I've said before and I'll say again, is about a pound of ground beef. And so you buy one of these and you essentially just bought my family burgers. Awesome. So I installed the Epic Store and it took a little bit. I don't know the specs on this thing, but I'll tell you right now, it took about, 20 minutes, something like that. I was installing Fortnite at 100 megs a second. At least that's what it told me. Now I have really fast internet. For some perspective, yesterday I downloaded the new collection for the Battlefront series, the classic Battlefront, the Star Wars Battlefront. And let me tell you firsthand, that was exciting to play some of those remastered. They look so remarkable. Unbelievable. I was playing the original one at, I kid you not, 190 frames per second. I could only see it at 90. But also when it was on the loading screen, I was over 2,000 frames per second. I don't know why it was uncapped like that, but whatever. When I was, it might be a bug. I don't know if it's really running at 2,000 frames per second. That'd be so crazy. It was really funny to see. But when I was downloading that game, I was downloading it at peak for a few minutes, 500 megs a second. Really, truly 500. And then it pretty much stabilized at a solid 350. It was at 500 for a little while, though. That is awesome. I didn't crack 100, maybe 105 on the ROG Ally. I was like, this is interesting. I tried plugging it in. I tried turning off Wi-Fi, whatever. So that was one thing. The biggest issue that I ran into was I installed Fortnite on here, and it ran moderate to okay, medium settings, no shadows. I was getting 70-ish frames, dropping down to 60 something, never below 60. I got up to like 80 at some point. No aim assist. No matter which way I tried to figure it out, no aim assist. And so, yes, I am a controller player, so I rely on aim assist. To have a game in handheld form factor already with somewhat smaller thumbsticks and a little bit less of an ergonomic design to the controller itself, aim assist is arguably one of the more crucial features that are necessary to have an experience that is anything but acceptable. Without aim assist, I am ineffective. I don't know if it's because it can't detect the controller or if these handheld devices, because of the touchscreen, are always flagging it for mouse and key. I don't know. I really don't know why. But what I can say is that if I don't have some sort of level of aim assist in an FPS, what's the point of one of these machines for me, right? That's the biggest thing, is what's the point of something like ROG Ally if I'm not going to be able to play a game well? Okay, and I know there's plenty of other games. It's 4, so we're going to go with the bottom one here, which is Amber. Woo. That's one thing that was kind of frustrating. Now, I had a realization in that moment when I was dealing with the aim assist problem. I'm like, well, if the only games that I'm wanting to play here are stuff like Call of Duty or Fortnite or some of these first person, third person, somewhat competitive level shooting games, why am I trying so hard to play it on a handheld form factor, which is going to be very, very compromised when I just could play it on my PlayStation 5 or PC eventually? And that was a big thing. I was like, well, yeah, I guess that does make sense. There aren't a ton of games on the Epic Store that I don't need. And really, in my current state, like with kids and my life, like I'm not going to sit on my couch and be like, let's get into Fortnite. Like it's just not as realistic as I thought it would be. If I'm wanting to play a somewhat competitive level game, I'm going to want to have a little bit more of a robust setup. I'm going to want to be playing in an environment that is more comfortable or suited for something like that. And so that was one thing. 2, the Windows UI on all of these handheld devices is so not good. It was better on this in some ways and worse than the Lenovo. Man, AeroPress is good. That's so tasty. This is a Guatemala natural. 15 grams in, 250 grams of water through. So this little thing. I wanted to go smaller today because I plan on doing more than 1 cup to get myself ready for the weekend. I was running through Windows and running through a lot of issues. Issue number 1 is, for some reason, it doesn't want to use some of these buttons. That was somewhat obnoxious. The suspend button on the Steam Deck is so good. Every time you want to suspend your game, you hit the power button, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Your games is suspended fully. Fully. You're good. You're going to be fine. You don't have to worry about anything else. 2, when you hit the button again, it turns on. This one, half the time you hit the button, there it goes. And we are thinking. Still thinking. Here we go. It's 11:59. It's not though. It's not at all 11:59. let's see if I log in. Cool. Cool. Right. Now if I want to turn it off, I press the power button, hold the power button. Oh, and I probably just completely hard powered off the device. Did I hard power off the device? It just isn't what I wanted. It isn't what I wanted. And I don't know if I'm just spoiled with something like the Steam Deck or if I'm doing this wrong. You guys can let me know if I'm doing this wrong. But there are so many things about this that I expected to do better. That did completely power it down. Okay, cool. Whoops. Another thing, the keyboard prompts doesn't happen. Like half the time. No, not even. I'd say less than 20%. Less than 20% of the time, I have to manually prompt the keyboard through a series of shortcuts. And I don't know if this is because this kind of UI is a new thing. I don't know if because this is Windows 11 in a handheld device, we're dealing with, I have people outside screaming. Maybe because it's so windy. I don't know if that's the case, right? This is not a custom thing. This is Windows 11. I can open Word documents, I can type, I can do all these things, I can surf the web, I can do anything I want that I would want to do on a PC. Here, it's not the most intuitive in a lot of ways, being so small. Also, the screen, I don't really love it. But there were a lot of things. I had such high hopes. You saw yesterday, I was like really excited. But after multiple hours of trying to just get things going and finally getting things going, and I know what you guys are gonna say, that's PC gaming. It's not though. That's not what PC gaming is. I have a mini PC. It is not the best thing in the world. It doesn't have a graphics card. It's integrated. It is by a long shot wildly underqualified to do anything gaming. But I install a game, I boot the game, and I'm playing the game. It's very simple. I install different applications. They run fine. Sure, I have to do a little thing here and there. It's good to go, but it runs well. It does. PC gaming is all about tweaking and doing this kind of thing. It is to a certain extent. But when you have a computer and you're sitting down at a desk and you have keyboard and mouse and all the peripherals necessary to properly navigate in an accurate sense, trying to navigate on here with with your fingers, and half the time you press a button and then it defaults to buttons, it's just not a good experience. I mean, in case you aren't picking up when I'm putting down, this thing is going right back to Best Buy. It lasted all of probably 24 hours. I've spent over 6 hours trying to get things just going, combined. I've got games installed on here. Do they run better than the Steam Deck when plugged in? Yes, they do run better. But the Steam Deck has 3 things over this, just off the top of my head. 1, the display is exponentially better. The OLED display is gorgeous. Some people are like, OLED's a gimmick. It sucks, but you're wrong. 2, the low wattage performance is highly? Sweet coffee, help me. The low wattage performance across multiple tests on the internet and my own is better on the Steam Deck. So what does that mean? That means that you will have a better battery life. I put this on turbo mode and was playing a moderate to low level, right? It wasn't a high requirement game by any stretch, just playing through Crisis Core, not that high, but I did want to push the boundaries of the frame rates to see how high I could get it. I got some higher frame rates there, but I was like 90 minutes, maybe almost 2 hours, like 1 hour and 48, I think was what I saw at max charge of gameplay. Now, sitting and playing for 1 hour and 48 minutes, I would have thought is pretty ridiculous, especially my lifestyle and the way it works. But here's where that all changes. Let's say I'm on my couch with my kids. I'm playing my video games, and then we're going to go to the coffee shop to visit my brother. Take it with me. One of them's napping, the other one's playing with her friend in the courtyard. I take out this thing, start playing some more, a little half an hour, whatever, put it back in my bag, good to go, come home, nap time, and take it out again. It's going through suspend state, non-suspend state, suspend state, non-suspend state. It is maintaining its battery life. And now, without getting near a wall charger, I have approached that upper limit of the battery's capabilities. I need to be close to a wall. I need to plug this in. Not to mention that if I do play some of these more demanding games that require turbo mode and all this different stuff, I'm gonna get even less of the performance. Now, I understood this going into it, okay? I knew what I was getting. And also, I'm gonna be honest with you, going into this, I was never expecting this to be like the most magical experience. But I did expect more out of it. I think that I expected it to be a little bit more robust. I expected it to be actually somewhat user-friendly. And while I do think that it is more user-friendly than the Aya Neo or some of these other handheld PCs that exist, an Armory Crate is by far way more polished than the Lenovo Legion Go's version. I forgot what they call it. Whatever they call it, like Battle Chest. I don't know. It is way more polished. I do like the way that this feels, but there are a few things that I just externally was also disappointed. This is the first time I've actually held one. One, I'm not going to show you, but they just stamp in very, very blurry but normal things. They stamp a piece of plastic, not a sticker, and then they just put the sticker on there and it's your serial number. I don't love that. Now, PCs in general seem to do that kind of stuff. They have all these stickers on it. I'm like, I just take these off. The way that the different screws are here, it just looks shoddily made, honestly. The weight of it isn't impressive. Now, you don't want a heavy device. The Legion Go is extremely heavy. So that is kind of a thing. And the way it feels in the hand is very nice. Now, when you look at the ports on top, this is where it gets... I just don't get why they do it this way. First, we all have heard of the SD card issues, which apparently have been fixed due to proper allocation of whatever. I haven't encountered it because I haven't put an SD card in here. But we have this like crazy slot right here, which has the USB-C port, which I didn't notice was there until I actually found it finally. And it has this proprietary thing that kind of looks like a display port, but it's not. It's for a graphics card. It's for an externally powered laptop grade graphics card that you can purchase from ASUS and plug into the device itself. The graphics card is either, I think it's like a 4070 or something. I don't know. It's $1,500 or $2,000. So either this is, you get it for $600 pretty much anywhere, $2,100 or $2,600. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's ridiculous. That's so expensive for that. When something like the Lenovo Legion Go, what you can do is you can buy a graphics card, heck, take it out of your machine if you want, shove it into an external, enclosure that's powered, and then plug that into this through USB-C or or Thunderbolt or whatever it is. You can, not this, but the Legion Go. That seems like something that's more viable, right? And with the size of the Legion Go, that is way cooler too. But honestly, I had such high hopes, and some of you are gonna be like, well, give it more time, give it more time. Part of this is my job, right? I am here to test things. But then there's another part of this. I'm here to test this as a dad. As a short on time, limited in my ability to play games dad. In the first 24 hours of me owning this device, I have encountered so many problems, so many non-optimized moments, so many things in between me and my gaming experience. If this is what I am going to be experiencing, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is not something I'm gonna want to invest a tremendous amount of time doing, especially as someone who has a PC as well. Can this replace the Xbox experience because of Xbox PC Game Power? I keep saying Xbox PC because of PC Game Pass. It can, yeah, it really can. Would I purchase this over an Xbox Series X? That's a tough question. I don't think that the experience that I had with this lends itself to a desirable gaming session. I don't know if I want to, off the rip, grab this over something like a Steam Deck. I think the Steam Deck itself does multiple things extremely well. It's very optimized. very optimized through SteamOS as well as Proton. It is so optimized that the games you purchase are just off the rip good. They work the first time. They're installed. It's getting so many updates all the time. I think every other time I turn this thing on, it's getting another update. They find something, they fix it, they optimize. They find something, they optimize, they fix, and in whatever order. And they continue to do that. And that for me is huge. When I got this thing, I had to install, I think, 26 updates. Fine, it's older. But it struck me, it reminded me of what this was. A Windows 11 handheld PC, which to some is very, very desirable. But for me, I think that if I want to encounter that OS, if I want to deal with Windows 11, I'm gonna want it to be in something that is giving me way more performance and way more of a good gaming experience than something that's limited like this, right? Like if I'm going to have to deal with the oddities and the very unpredictable nature of updates for something like a Windows machine, I'm gonna want the trade-off to be so much higher. I'm not gonna want to have to struggle to get medium and a moderate frame rate in a handheld device when I could honestly get very, very good performance in high to epic or whatever it's called, max settings at my desk. The games that I can't play on the go are games that really honestly are gonna be better done in that seated environment. Am I going to dock this and have this as my gaming PC for $700, $600? No, because realistically, I could probably get something for an extra few $100 that's going to do way more as far as the desktop experience than this can do. It's impressive in its own right. I think that the ROG Ally is the right form factor. The Legion Go for me was really gimmicky with all of the different features of those detachable handles or controllers or whatever you want to call it. This guy has so much promise, and I think the second version of this is going to be really, really good. But until Windows or Microsoft or whoever's doing it creates a portable PC, a handheld gaming OS that is really well optimized, I think that the Steam Deck is just going to continuously blow it out of the water for people like me. I know there are people in here that are like, oh, since I got my Ally, I haven't touched my Steam Deck. I think that we're just different because after fiddling and getting stuff going and getting all the games working, they run. I can play the games, I can boot into them first rip now. After getting it going and then picking up my Steam Deck and just going through that, oh my gosh, I want my on-the-go experience to be very, very streamlined. I'm willing to have 2 devices rather than 1. Have a very good gaming PC and a Steam Deck that does my gaming on the go. I'm very happy with that setup. This right here is a cool gadget, but we're just not there yet. At least for me, I'm not there yet. I'm not sold on it. It's brutal. Kakarot was cool, but on OLED, dude, it's bee's knees. I think that a lot of it for me also has to do with stability. I know that I've talked at length about having one device or a device that does the job really, really well in downsizing. I think the smallest I want to get is a computer and a gaming handheld. I think that's the smallest I want to get. I don't want to get it down to just one handheld. I know there are people out there who are like, oh, I did 1 week with just this as my computer. I don't care to do that. That's impractical. That's very impractical. I need the job I am set out to do to be done well and quickly, and I have tools to do it. And so, ASUS, this is a great idea. I don't like it yet. Send me the second one. This is not a glowing review. Not at all. And for any of you who want to be like, told you so, knew you wouldn't like it, that's fine. I want to experience these things. Even if I know that it's not the best, or you know it's not the best, you're like, haha, see, told ya. I'm trying to discover this. I'm new to all of this, and I'm coming at it from a very different perspective than what you see on the internet. The internet right now is all about optimization, performance, best bang for your buck in some cases, or best bang overall. How can you get the highest settings and, impress everybody out there? while that's very cool, I am coming from a very specific angle. I have multiple hobbies that I participate in, and one of those hobbies that I really enjoy is playing video games. But I'm also a father, a husband, a business owner, and a very busy person. So in order to continue doing that, I want to make sure that the gear I have serves me. I don't want to be a slave to my gear, which is what this is. When you have a piece of technology that you never really are confident in, you then are asking it for permission. I don't want to have to ask my gear for permission to play it. I want my gear to ask me to play with it, right? It inspires me to use it. It goes, hey, guess what? I'm here and I'm gonna work for you, right? I need that. And I think that's a little bit different of a perspective here. This is a much cooler gadget, in my opinion, than the Steam Deck, through and through. I think the Legion Go is the coolest gadget. It's very much so a cool toy, but it's not practical for my use case, for our use case as fathers and people looking to just be able to game. That's one of my hobbies. Another one is reading mangas, which has completely taken over a lot of my free time. I've read so much over these past few days because I'm so entranced in the story that I haven't even touched video games, if I'm being honest with you. I read through the last 4 books of Dragon Ball over the course of 3 days in all of my free time, staying up late, and then I started Dragon Ball Z, and at the same time I've started One Piece. Like, I'm obsessed with this. I'm having so much fun reading manga right now and watching anime. Something I've never done before, something I've always wanted to do. And so that also takes time, and that's even more like added to this whole thing. If I'm spending time doing other hobbies, I want to make sure the very one that I love and care for, video games, is waiting for me and ready to go. And when I'm on the go, which is the majority of my time, it needs to work every time. And so, back with the ASUS ROG, if you want to read a really good anime, Dragon Ball is great. Or manga, I guess. I can mix them up. And Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Incredible album. Incredible album. Thanks, guys. I will see you guys, I guess, in the next one. And yeah, most of all, happy gaming.